Okay. Good morning to all the students of PA Inamdar College of Visual Effect Design and Art and all our extension centers. I, Professor Dr. Rishi Acharya, Dean of the college, would like to welcome you in this amazing, beautiful session where we have a beautiful girl from all the way Canada, Vancouver, Miss Nupur. Guys, this session is on the international pipeline of VFX, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it a lot. We requested Nupur especially to discuss about her life overall and how was her struggle. And to give you an introduction about Nupur, Nupur is basically from Gurgaon, and she did her B.Sc animation from Karnataka State Open University, and after that she went to pursue advanced VFX course in Vancouver in Menards College, and from there she started her professional journey. So we are really fortunate that Nupur is here, and Nitin sir was his mentor. So she was really very kind to us that she got ready for this kind of webinar in a very short notice. So on behalf of entire college, Nupur, we would like to thank you for giving us the time. I know it's late evening at your end, and still you are managing the time. And I'm sure students, you are going to get a lot of important insights from Nupur. So without wasting any other time, let's go and hear from Nupur. Nupur, the mic is yours now. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, sir. Thank you for the introduction. I am Nupur. I'm currently in Vancouver and I'm working as a crowd TD, and I also do CFX and also FX. So I'm basically a technical director when it comes to any of these departments, which means that I will develop tools and work as an artist as per needed. So currently, I'm working on great projects, which obviously I can't tell about. But I started my journey back in India with Karnataka State Open University and Nitin sir as my mentor. We we had some fun times back home. He was my 2D teacher back home and a very vital support in our whole system. We did 2D animation. We also learned like 3D. 3D came eventually, but 2D was our base, and we started with the basic sketching, and we also learned lightbox animation, which was the old school 2D animation style. And then eventually, as our course progressed, we learned Photoshop, which was also taught by Nitin sir. And then we moved ahead and did 3D animation and FX if anybody was interested. We had special teachers for that. We were into gaming also, so we used to have fun times when we used to play games in our cafes and everything. So basically, all in all, our experience in India was my experience in India was really good and very informative, just because it was our first insight in the course and in the industry. We did have few teachers which worked in the industry at that time, so that gave us few insights of Indian industry. Um, Eventually, I decided to not pursue animation and get into VFX, just because I was more inclined towards FX side of the movies. There's a difference between animation and VFX. In general, we forget the difference, but visual effects is basically, animation is mostly 3D, 2D, and it's very important. But visual effects is basically like post production, which comprises of lighting, texturing, um, FX, CFX, and crowds, all these aspects. So I was inclined towards FX, therefore I decided to pursue my career more on the FX side. I had like huge inspirations of movies, which was like very important for me and helped me get into the industry. So like Harry Potter and like a very old movie Twister, They both were like my inspiration points to get into the industry and have like they were my motivations. And I decided to just apply for VANATS after I finished my B.Sc degree in India. It was just like, my I started applying all around, but my portfolios were basically my work which I did in B.Sc back home. I did speak to sir about it, and so kind of helped me, pick up the pieces which would look good on my reel. And Nitin sir always told me one thing, that you know be confident and always be open to critiques. And I guess that helped me a very long way. And till this date I listen to it, because if I wouldn't have listened to him, I don't think I would have built a very good portfolio in terms of understanding where my flaws are. So Nitin sir actually helped me choose certain pieces, and obviously I had more options and I had people to help me out to pick up the pieces which I really wanted to use in my international portfolio. So basically, I applied to multiple universities and I waited for their replies. And as and when I was selected, I began my process of applying for visas and just starting my journey to come abroad. I graduated in India in 2012. So I was here in Vanarts in 2013. So I decided to do a diploma in visual effects for movies and films. Um, Sorry, films and television. I'm sorry about that. So here, when we came, the experience was different just because it was a 1 year program and we had to learn and get our skills up to mark, like whatever we have done before. So, I mean, here the experience was interesting in terms of, it's a new country, new culture, and as well as you have to learn and take care of everything. So I was fortunate enough to be able to work with a lot of people here as well. When they were teaching us, they were mentors from the industries, so our time frame of working was little crazy. We used to start our day at 9 and we used to finish our day at 9 in the night, just because our instructors were dependent on, like, after they finished their work, they used to come and teach us. So that way we had to make sure that we are ready for, the lectures which they have to give. And we had to just be sure, like, we are ready to put in 100% how much we can with the knowledge which we are getting. So it was a great experience for me to learn. And Again, I decided to pursue my specialization in FX. I knew that I wanted to do FX and none of the other departments, just because I figured out my strength was in FX side of the pipeline and not on the visual, not on the comp side of the pipeline. And the reason why I like FX or the technical side of our pipeline is just because I like science and art, and I feel FX, crowds, CFX is like a very good blend of all of these stuff. And After I finished my my diploma, which was in 2014, I was able to, I applied at multiple jobs, I applied at multiple companies. It was a slow process initially to get into the desired company I wanted to get in, but slow and steady wins the race, and I was able to get into the industry. For sure, I did not start as what I really wanted to start as, like an FXTD, just because I never worked in the industry and I had no prior experience. So I was hired as a technical assistant or a render technician, which is basically the person who handles the renders for artists. So that was a really interesting and an important step in for me in the industry, because it gave me a lot of insight in general regarding my work, regarding how artists work, how production works in movie industry, how post-production in general works. So, as a render technician, I had the duty of managing renders which were sent on multiple servers, understand how the server system work, how the machines work, how basically you got to interact with production, got to talk to people. You should be, it was basically in like, if I have to be very honest, it was like customer service, but for artists, but with a lot more responsibility in terms of handling the machines which will be handling the jobs of the artist. So that was a very important insight which I was fortunate enough to learn and have. Eventually, I had the opportunity of working as an FX TD. I was working as a junior, which basically meant I was working on the setups provided by my seniors. And those setups were basically developed by them. I was just inputting those setups in my shots so I can produce them in my movie, like whatever shots were needed. I was just churning out the output as quickly as possible. Eventually, I was able to work in multiple movies, and then I was opened up with an opportunity of working as an FXTD, which was another learning curve for me because FX is basically, fire, water, smoke, blasting, and water, and dust particles and everything, which I was always inclined towards. But but CFX is basically, a new learning curve because it is cloth, it is hair, it is skin, it is muscles, which I've never worked before or never explored before. So eventually, when I was given the opportunity of learning CFX, I took it, and it was like one of the best experience I could have because I was fortunate enough to work on like few movies which I always wanted to work on, and few movies were just like a challenge for me, and they taught me so much in terms of understanding how the pipeline works and how like certain outputs are done, which I would have never imagined to do myself before. So, like, very good example would be Okja movie, which is on Netflix. It was basically CFX done on a creature. So that creature was a big hippo, big kind of a thing, and I had to learn how to do skin, how to do muscles. So it was a great learning curve for me in terms of I was able to expand my tool sets, which could help me grow. And eventually, when I was enjoying these two, I always went to my production and asked for more, like if I can learn more, or if there's an opportunity which can help me grow more. So I was opened up to another avenue, which is crowds. Crowds is something which I'm working right now on, and it is something which eventually tied up in a very interesting way, just because crowds is one of the aspects which helps us create the background crowds in a movie, which right now during COVID is very handy. Crowds is basically, creating background crowds, and it's kind of linked with rigging, it's linked with texturing, it's linked with modeling, animation, motion capture, lighting, everything. And I feel like crowds is another pipeline of its own. So uh, eventually I found my way into crowds also. I'm kind of like a senior crowd technical director right now. Not kind of, like I'm a senior crowd technical director right now, and basically that means we have to do setups and we have to make sure we can debug the issues. We can, we can debug the issues, and we are able to churn out good output. And like debugging and talking to multiple people at the same time, different departments, coordinating with them is a very vital role for me. So basically, it's as per the show's requirement, I change my roles. And I just love to explore more every day. So whatever opportunity shows or comes in front of me, I love to grab it.
Wow, that is so amazing. It is really, really amazing to note that in the college also you had schedule of 9 to 9 studies and very, hard work started from college itself. It is nice to note. Nupur, before we proceed ahead, I would like to show your filmography and short AV, which you have shared with us, your video reel. Though I suppose that these are not the latest ones in which you have worked, but still, I think this will motivate our students to see your work and they will definitely get some guidance from it. So, Rahul sir,
So
can we play that AV? Yeah. And by the way, your IMDb filmography is quite huge. I will rather share it with the students. But students, just to inform you about few of the works which she did is in the latest one is Batman and Justice League and Christmas Chronicles, Avengers, Thor. These are my favorite movies. So I really, admire your work there. And the entire filmography is quite big. You can search Nupur on IMDb, and all his work is mentioned there. All her work is mentioned. Yes,
thank you.
Rahul sir, please. No, we don't see it. Okay. So shall we go ahead? Okay. So in this second segment of the talk, Nupur, I would like you to explain us bit about the VFX pipeline overall, how the industry work as you have worked in FX and CFX both. Just give us little idea about that, and also what sort of skill set is really required to become a successful CFX artist or VFX artist. And since our student is in their second year and final years, if they are interested to go into VFX, what kind of job opportunities are available for them? And guys, also feel free to ask your questions. You can type in the chat window of YouTube, and from there Rahul sir will collect it, and we will have these question answer round in the last segment of this talk. So yes, Nupur, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. The FX, CFX, and crowd pipeline, they like I would by the end of the day, I would say to be a good artist, you need to be a good listener, you need to be a team player. So be it whatever. So if you are a nice person in terms of you're humble and you're ready to learn and not always argue, and be a team player, then you will eventually learn and grow, and you will be a good FX or CFX artist. So for me in general, I feel like FX, CFX, and crowds are very differentiated. It FX is more on the lines of destruction, creation. FX can comprise of smoke, water, fire. You think you can do an FX basically. There's everything what you want to do. There's like foliage, which is basically plant growth and all of that. And CFX is more towards it's a separation. Like we should always remember, even though it's like a part of FX, but it is separated in terms of the knowledge which we share. Because CFX is more more inclined towards cloth, hair, muscle, body. So there the anatomy of a human, or the real life references come into play. Whereas FX is more that I'm not saying that does not have real life reference. Everything is dependent on real life reference in effects also. The Because if we are making a blast and if it's a oil spill blast, we need to make sure that it looks like an oil spill blast. We need to do our research properly in terms of, yeah, if we are breaking something, we are okay. What's the source of the breaking? So our starting point should always be like understand the nature of what we want to create. We can't just create from top of our head. So we need to make sure if we are doing, say you are hitting a hammer against a concrete wall, the dust needs to look like dust which is coming out of concrete wall. It can't just it can't have that magical effect to it. So to understand and to start any workflow, we need to know what we are approaching first. What's the idea? What's the mind frame? Where does it lie in our movie or whatever shot we are creating? So we should always look at the references, understand the nature of the stuff which we are creating, and eventually then we go ahead and start working on our workflow. If we don't know anything, I don't think you should be ashamed to ask anyone. There are people out there who know certain things and who don't know certain things. The things which you know, they might not know. So if you don't know anything, please feel free to ask your team members. That's why being a team player comes into play, because if you don't know something, then how else you're going to learn if you don't end up trying? So start working on it, and eventually, as and when you're going ahead, you will start facing issues, and that's when you start to debug stuff. Oh, how do I do this? Oh, how do I do that? Oh, if it's not debugging, then you need to look for different approaches in your workflow. If you can't do this in a certain way, which is like a way, then maybe it can be done as a C way. And there, I mean, I can think of 10,000 logics of just saying, oh, I can, make fire, which is like having so much orange in it, but that orange might not be the one which we are looking for when we are doing the texturing, because that's not the nature of the smoke or fire which we are creating. So it's always dependent on, your workflow and your understanding of the subject which you want to recreate. That's the same thing when it comes to cloth. Now, for instance, if I'm making cloth, I can't do a silk kind of a cloth for a guy who's wearing a denim, right? So I need to be very certain of the idea that, oh, this is like something which I'm creating, which is like a denim cloth. So this is heavier on the aspect of it. So as a student, I would always say that learn, look, notice, explore. Where you're going somewhere, oh, that person is wearing that. Oh, the hair flows like that. Okay, the mist or the clouds are just going that fast. It depends on what your specialization wants to be. Oh, the people walk like this. That can be used in animation. That can be a factor for adding on to certain things. Or when you're doing crowds, oh, that person, you can't have same motions. You need to bring randomness. So just when you're walking around, start noticing things, start exploring things, just so that you can understand, oh, this is not how I should have approached it, or maybe this is how I should approach it, just because the sheer understanding of real life is what you want to replicate in 3D. So you should always, with technical aspects, you should be more aware of your surroundings so that you can reproduce better outputs. And there's always like, I don't think there's you ever stop growing. So yeah, you would have hit a mark. Okay, I made the best fire, and next day you are going back and you're like back to square zero. Please don't feel demotivated at that point of time, because we all go through that, because every show is different. Every fire, every environment, every model, every texture, every dog, if you create that, that's different, because there's no similar pattern in our workflow. There's always randomness. So my idea and my suggestion is always like, look around, learn from your mistakes, never be shy away from asking more questions. Please be confident when you're asking your doubts. If you're not confident, it's fine. Just be ready to take your critique. Don't shy away from that, because the moment you shy away or the moment your ego comes into play, no, I know this, I don't think you can grow, because ego is one thing which will help you, which will stop you from growing. So you should always be ready. As an artist, you should always be ready to take critiques. That's my main thing, and always be a team player.
Wow. Very, very important. Rather, I have noticed a very good formula into it. We should start with look, then explore, then notice, and then learn, as you said very rightly. So it
Yeah.
always start with this, and we always, give stress on this point for our students that they should definitely increase their observation skills and all. By the way, just wanted to know, suppose you, as you said very rightly, that every movie is different, every shot is different, every treatment is different. So
Yeah.
suppose you want to do something which is very new, which was not there in your reference libraries and all. Do you people or your artists really go outside to see and observe the things and then get notice to it, or how it works? Or do you have the video libraries where you just go and refer the real world interactions?
It always depends. Like there are certain, like if I want to give like a blast which I'm creating, obviously I can't recreate
You
that.
can't,
Then
yeah.
I look at multiple references, or talk to fellow artists just to interact with them and understand, have you done this before? What are your tips? What do you understand from it? If that's not the case as a student, like I know when I created my demo reel back in Van Arts, I wanted to create tornado. So I looked at billions and millions of tornado videos to understand how it actually works. So if you want to try to create something, you really need to look at references. Be it watch a movie again, like find your inspirational movie. Oh, I really like that animation in, Up. So I want to recreate that. I want to understand what was so special about that special moment which caught my attention. Or I really like that, that blast in, say, any of the Transformer movies, any Michael Bay movie. We will, like, I would say, watch it and learn it, like, not learn it, like, see what attracted you in it. And if there's certain thing which attracted you, then try to create and try to look for references. Is it something which is actually done in real life? Or is it something where I can find a reference? Because when, like, for an instance, like when a metal hits a metal, there's always a spark, right? So we, now it depends what kind of metal is hitting the other metal and how far the gap of the spark is. So that calculation will only come if we look at multiple references. If we look at multiple references, we'll obviously have, a better understanding of approaching something. So that's how my workflow always starts. I'll be like, okay, so I'm doing cloth. Okay, if I'm doing just a flag, is it windy? That's my first question. Oh, is it a heavy material? Okay, it's a heavy material, it's windy. How big the scale of the flag is? Is it like a big hoist flag, or is it like a tiny ass flag which you are just holding in your hand? Because that will change the property of your output, right? Like we need to make sure the output which we want to approach, or which we want to achieve, it's in the correct output status, like in terms of the correct properties are used. It does not look fake. It should look as realistic as I would like to see when I walk out and I see that flag. So that is the main thing for me. Like I look, like if I'm going for a walk, I see something interesting, I just take out my phone. We all have cameras now. I just take out my phone and capture it. I might not use it today, but somewhere down the line when I am like, oh, I really want to learn this, or I want to input this in my shot, or actually I took that reference, so I have multiple references to look at. So that's how basically I approach at things.
वाओ, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स। तो ये सब जो अभी तक हम लोगों ने सुना, दो तीन चीजें जो मुझे अच्छी लगी एंड आई वांट ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स टू आल्सो फॉलो इज, apart from the observation, the second thing which I can understand now is ask right questions to yourself. If you are approaching to any shot, ask questions to yourself that how you are going to approach it. कैसे उस shot की details आप observe करोगे, real world में वो चीजें कैसे move करती है, and have your own checklist. Probably this kind of checklist, if you observe a lot, you will develop it in your mind. But it is always better to note down your observations in a diary also, so that you can later on refer it. तो ये दूसरी चीजें जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और तीसरा डेफिनेटली पहले when the artists from Disney earlier used to work, they used to go and observe. But for you people now, there is huge video material and image material is available on internet from where you can take the references. So now it has a very least importance that you are going in a real world and observing, or you are taking the references and observation, increasing your observation through videos and all. But the key is observation. The key is to ask right questions to yourself before you are approaching to a shot. तो ये सब चीजें आप लोगों को ध्यान रखनी है. Nupur, if we talk about the jobs in VFX industry, you have seen, you have been to India also. India is also growing very fast in animation and VFX. A lot of outsourcing work is coming to India. There are many Western companies and studios putting their studios here in India, like in Mumbai and Pune. We see a rapid growth. How do you see, as a person from the industry, the future of VFX industry in India and abroad? We will take this first. And second is, if they want to come out after their graduation abroad, what all chances are there and how they should prepare themselves for it?
So the growth is immense, I would say, like with so many streaming platforms coming into play. It's just not about movies anymore, I would say. Like
Yeah.
initially it was just like, Hollywood movies, Bollywood movies, that's about it. There was a blockage after that. But now if we look at it, there's Amazon, there's Netflix, there's Apple TV, there's Hulu, there are multiple streaming services. And the quality is not reducing in any of the quality is actually improving with every
Right.
passing series, every passing platform, every edition. There is something new which you will explore. Like for instance, like the series The Witcher or Game of Thrones. It's not built on a mindset of, it's a TV series. It's built on a mind frame of like, oh, it's a visual effects series. So the work is obviously going to grow. There's no way the work is not going to grow. And with the multiple opportunities of having motion capture into play, and also having, the explore of just having motion captures in multiple studios which have volumes and all of that things, it's just going to grow, because now it's not only about how much how quickly you can give the output. And now the studios are also moving towards the idea of using game engine. So game engine, learning VFX tools, it's always about growth. So there's no and because the game engine is used just because you can churn out a higher resolution output quicker than we can do with our softwares. So I would say the growth which we have in India, the studios opening up in India like DNEG and MPC and all of those, they are giving so much work. Like it's opening up avenues for Bollywood also to get their game up in the industry. It's not only about Hollywood anymore. And just because by the fact that Bollywood is coming up with such amazing scripts to work on, it's just mind blowing that I mean, it will be, it will be petty if we don't match up the VFX scale. So that's why the growth is obviously immense. And like Indian artists have so much to offer. The only difference is, it depends somewhere down the line if we want to put that much effort or not. Like if we come abroad, we're going to put the same effort. If we can give that kind of output in India, I don't think there's any difference, because somewhere down the line the workflow or the movies or the work coming to India is almost similar. Like the Chinese movies are there, Bollywood movies are there, Hollywood movies are there. That's always going to grow. And with I mean, somewhere down the line it's also dependent on us how we want to grow as an artist and how we want to represent India on the growth scale. So I mean, personally the growth is just going to go up, up, up. And it's all dependent on how we take it and how we want to stretch it furthermore, because everybody knows India is good in terms of tech. we 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 churn out so many technical people. We have higher ups in almost every company. So I don't think there is a reason to say that we can't do good in VFX. We can do good in VFX. It's just dependent on the fact that how much we want to input, how much energy we want to input, and how much the other person wants to take from us. Like it's a give and take. So the growth is always going to be there. It's just like we should be ready to put in, and the other person should be ready to listen to us. That's the biggest aspect.
Great. So, guys, this is a very fantastic news for all of us. The growth is there. The opportunities are waiting for you. Only thing is, you need to develop the skill set in you. The approach is very important. How you are going in the industry, and always, you should have a learning attitude, because wherever you will go, you will always find one step ahead to you, and that step is something which should inspire you. So that's it. And Rahul sir, do we have any other question from the student side? Because I have a list of questions with me. So
So we do
let's
have
give the chance to the students first.
so we do have a lot of questions. I'll pick up the few
Please.
which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think are
Please
valid
pick up.
here.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the students is asking, what is Unreal Engine? It's mostly used in games, but also for movies. But what is the exact use of Unreal Engine?
So Unreal Engine is obviously used in games for better output, and uh, it's used in movies now, or it's been explored into movies just because it can churn out high resolution outputs quicker. So basically, if I want to render out a 4K, then like if I want to show an output of a 4K render, I can use Unreal Engine and try to reproduce that faster, which in real life, say in Houdini, will take me a day to take out. And in Unreal Engine, it's going to take me 2 hours. So obviously now the mind frame is like, do we understand Unreal Engine? Can we match the quality how we are doing it in Houdini? So that's why Unreal Engine is kind of like new talk in the town, because it's just like reducing time, it's giving the same quality of output, and it is quicker, and people who do games, they have different outlooks, so they know how to give the outputs better, or not even better. It's just like, this is kind of like, merging between gaming and VFX industry, where, oh, you have this idea, I have this idea, let's try to get a better idea. So that's basically about how, I mean, industry grows, and that is how Unreal Engine is also coming into play. And with, like I said, with the streaming services, the quality is not going down. We have to produce quicker outputs. Like Netflix literally takes out a new show every week or every few days. So imagine we can't spend the same amount of time which we used to spend for movies development. Like, say, for a movie, we used to spend one whole year. We can't give that same amount of time for a television show. So now we also have to explore quicker outputs or quicker tools for it. So therefore, understanding how Unreal can come into play, understanding how Houdini can be done faster, or Maya can churn out quicker outputs. It's all about time. By the end of the day, it's all about the time and the quality. So if we can produce better stuff somewhere or the other, that's how we should go ahead. That's the whole idea of it.
Just a second. Uh, how much is the difference between FX, VFX, and CFX, and are there more types like this?
Yes. So if you look into it, post production is altogether divided into multiple branches. There's animation, there's visual effects. Animation will have 2D animation, character animation, creature animation, VFX animation, and like the character animation, which is basically the old classic animation. And VFX is basically lighting, texturing, assets, modeling, FX, CFX, crowds, comp. All of that comes under VFX. Now, if you're trying to pursue something in VFX, you should know what attracts you more. Is it lighting what got your attention? Is it comp what you got your attention? Is it FX or is it CFX? Because this will help you build your portfolio. This will help you grow and have a specialized field. So it is all about knowing what is the liking of yours in visual effects. So for me, I knew that I like FX. So therefore, I tried to streamline towards FX. I did not deviate my mind, oh, I might want to do lighting, or I might want to do modeling or texturing or, look dev, layout, all of that. Just explore more options. If you have the opportunity of understanding how a shot is built, basically try to understand that, because a shot is built with multiple teams holding hands together. A shot is not built like that. We need to know how roto is done. Roto comes under comp. So layout is under asset building and all of that, and modeling and texturing is kind of like a part of look dev, which is basically the major part of how your models should be textured and looked after rendering. So there are a lot of aspects of it. So I mean, it's all about try to explore and find your niche and try to do good in that by the end of the day.
Okay, so Nupur, just to understand it in little detail, as you said, CFX and FX, and there you gave the example of managing the crowd simulation. Another thing is a branch of VFX. CFX is all about hair, fur, clothes, and all. What comes into FX?
FX is basically okay. So FX will be smoke, fire,
Okay,
water, blast, breaking, destruction, glass, smoke, uh, what else?
articles.
Particles.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, particles is
yeah,
one of the mains.
yeah.
Particles, and the those movies where they have plants growing, or something just increasing in length. That is a part of FX. Sparks. There's like so much. Like I think I would say destruction side, or the rebuilding side of the world is what FX is. So you can
Okay.
pick your battle. If you want to create destruction, you can make breaking and blasting. If you want to create something, you can create multiple types of foliage that is there. So that's how FX is.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Rahul sir, do we have any other question or should we sum up the talk?
Do have a lot of questions from students. I'm just trying to pick up a good ones.
Uh-huh.
So, so one of the students is asking, if I'm not wrong, we require 16 years of education to pursue a master degree in Canada. So, what are the options for further education there,
Okay.
as to get enough time post our course to find a job? Currently, we are left with a 15 years of education post our B.Sc.
Yeah. So it also depends, like, if you want to do masters. If you want to do masters, then probably you can take a course here which will help you bridge the gap and help you get into masters. So I might be wrong, but like this is the research which I did like 10 years ago. So that time it was basically like, if like I also had a 3 years degree in India. So the catch was, either I can say that I'll take few more credits abroad, and then instead of 1 or 2 years of masters, I do 2.5 years of masters, so that I can bridge the gap of that 1 year. Or you can come here, do a course which will help you get the credits and is equivalent for you to help you pursue masters. So that's the way if you want to do masters. If you don't want to do masters, there are multiple schools who are offering 1 year courses. You can probably look into that. And it's not only dependent in Canada, elsewhere also, like in States, in New Zealand, everywhere, there are courses which are for 1 year. So if that floats your boat, probably you can look into that, because the only thing is, if you're running out of time, or if you can't cover up the time and you don't know how to manage it, then a 1 year course should be good enough to make you understand what you want to do. The only catch is some in countries don't help you get a work permit after 1 year of education. So then maybe you can look into multiple options, like how you can bridge the gap, or how you can get into, like, get a new degree after doing that 1 year course. It all depends on what's your bandwidth of spending and what's your bandwidth in terms of time. So, like, pick your battle. If you want to do a 3 year course, then go ahead, do a 3 year course. Nobody's going to stop you. 3 years B.Sc degree is going to be there, or you can do a 2.5 years masters. If not, if you're running out of time, like I was done with studying more, so I just pursued a 1 year diploma. And that's how I knew what I wanted to do. So I was very understanding, like, know what you want to do, and then you will be able to explore more. Like, you have more options to explore. So that's the catch. Like, I mean, 1 year course is also not a bad idea, but masters, if you want to do, see what you want to do masters in. Because say if you're doing masters is more in modeling, I am not sure if there are colleges who do masters in modeling. Like, that's my concern. So
Yeah.
first decide what you want to do, and then look into the furthermore avenues, like masters or diploma or whatever you want to pursue.
Yeah, so as far as even my studies goes, it is like even for masters, you will have to choose a bigger specialization. You can't go very specific with the colleges and universities out there anywhere in the world, that you just wanted to do masters into modeling only or masters into rigging only. You will have to choose obviously masters in 3D animation or masters in VFX or gaming. And there, while working or while pursuing that degree, you can build your specialization. Or as Nupur said very rightly, that if you are very sure and very clear about which specialization you want to go into, then 1 year course would definitely help you out to get a good job and clarity on your skills. Yes, Rahul sir.
So we'll go with the last question now. So,
Okay.
do you recommend any artists that you follow for VFX or something on YouTube or any other platform?
I don't follow a specific artist, to be honest, because every person has something new to share. But I obviously look at a lot of tutorials, like Plural Site, FX PhD, or FX,
FX PhD, yeah.
yeah, FX PhD, or just side effect. Like, if you want to do FX, then just go on side effects, which, sorry, FX, I use Houdini. So Houdini is developed by side effects. So I just go on side effects site, and there are a lot of tutorials. Unreal Engine has a lot of tutorials, and it's just like, for me, following an artist is like, why, the other part artist is also good, right? And I work with so many good ones, I can't pick my battle which one is my favorite. So I always like, oh, I like your work, I'm going to follow you there. Oh, I like your work, I'm going to follow you there. Or, when I talk to them, or when I get an opportunity to talk to anyone new as an artist, I always ask them, like, oh, what do you do? And like, then, you come home and you look at the work, and you realize, oh, they know so much more, and maybe during that project I learned something from them, so I try to reach out to them then. But mostly my learning is, like crowds, there are different softwares. I just go on their websites and see what tutorials they have to offer. And if not, then YouTube is a very big platform where you can just look for, whatever you want to learn, just type it out, and you will eventually find a person who is telling you what you're looking for. Because there are so many small things which I keep on forgetting, because I jump between so many departments. There are times when I'm like, oh, I forgot the shortcut for that. Oh, I forgot how to make a spiral. So I'll just go and look for a person. That person I've never known, but he can explain me so much quicker and faster. So it's all about, if you're ready to learn, you will find somewhere or the other, or a specific artist which you really like.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I also believe in that, that when the student is ready, masters appears.
Yeah.
So So, Nupur, I don't know why this question is not there in students' queue. However, normally students wants to ask and they are very eager about the salary levels, how it works there. So you worked there on almost various levels of VFX. You started with rendering assistant and now you are working as a technical director. So can you give us an idea on what is the salary level there at different stages?
The salary level is very dependent on the artist and how they are performing and how much they have worked, and also a very much factor when it comes to being hired by the studio. So I can't pinpoint my salary in terms of like, oh yeah, this is how I grew or this is what it is. But every studio has something new to offer. And if you have something interesting to offer to them, then you can negotiate with them. Or if you have jumped between
Yeah, yeah,
multiple
please go ahead.
studios, you will be able to get, you will be able to grow as in terms of if you want a higher salary growth. If you start from basic, obviously you start very low, almost like minimum how everywhere is. And then as you say to people, I want to grow and this, I want to learn more, and they see that you're passionate enough to grow, then they help you grow in terms of salary also. So it's very much
Yeah.
dependent on that factor.
That's a very diplomatic answer, but yeah, I think students now understood that one is very important that it depends on artist to artist, your performance, your folio, and also how you are proceeding in the industry with the next level. They see they want to promote you, but then you should have those guts and metal in you to get promoted. So,
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I can't give you a number scale just because, like a fixed number, because I know artists of my level who might be earning more than me or who might be earning less than me. So it is
exactly.
very
Yeah,
artist
yeah, yeah.
dependent. It is
Very
very
true.
artist dependent, and it is also dependent on the fact that how many projects you have worked on. And I'm not just saying that you need to have 20 projects on your list. It's also dependent on the fact you might have done those 5 projects which are challenging enough to get you the growth which you want in terms of your career and in terms of salary.
Yeah.
So it's
So
dependent.
my idea was basically like in India, normally people understand that for a fresher, if they are starting in VFX, they might get between 25,000 to 30,000 as initial salary. So, I mean, a range is available so that they can make their mind accordingly. I mean, for obviously working in Canada or in any other country, they will have to look for their finances, whatever they are investing, say for their degree or for masters. Ultimately, the first point would be to recover at least those which they have invested in their course, right?
Yeah.
So,
Then I would say the minimum salary depends. Like now, the minimum wages have changed. So honestly,
yeah.
I don't know what the minimum salary is
Hmm.
because in general in Canada the minimum wages have gone up. But to think about a lot of aspects, say for an instance, I say I'm earning $20 per hour. Just an example, okay?
Hmm.
Now that's a junior level salary, if I would say. If I'm earning $20 per hour, if I want to recover, I also need to think of the factor I am living here, I am spending here, I am
Right.
feeding myself, I want to pay off my loans.
Right.
Does it cover? If not, then we need to have a certain backup before we start working. That's my
Hmm.
understanding. That's my ground rule. If I
Yeah.
want to invest in something, I need to have certain savings. So it's not going to last long, that $20 per hour. Yes, I'm going to grow, but that growth is completely dependent. Will it be in 3 months or will it be in a year? So if I
Hmm.
can cross that $20 barrier, then yeah, then the growth is going to go. I am going to recover soon. But if I'm not going to input myself, if I'm not going to show the growth I have to offer, then the $20 is going to be there with me for the rest of 1 year. I can totally stick with that $20 and I can cry about it. I have not, covered up my debt, like all the loans, and I have not covered up anything. And, it's still the same. It would have been better if I was in India. So it is very much dependent on the fact that how smartly you want to approach this idea. You want to earn more, do good. If you don't want, like, if you're happy with $20 per hour, by all means, guys, like, that's $20 per hour for you. They are happy to give as little as they can. It's your way, like, it's your call how you want to take the money from them.
Okay. So with this, I have another question. That do you really think that negotiation matters a lot while you are discussing about your salaries and profile in the interview room? I mean, you have been to various profile and probably you have given a lot of interviews, and also what few important tips you would like to give to the freshers when they are in the interview room discussing about their jobs, salaries, and all?
I mean, I would first of all like to say, as a fresher or as a person, just be a person who is just not like a, like, in simple terms, you should be nice to another person. You should not be a person who is like so egoistic. Yeah, I know this. Like, yeah, I know
Hmm.
this, I'm ready to learn more. That's the first thing which I always say. Like, that's one of the major discussions we all have had, that it's not only like I'm entering a room with so much knowledge. I'm entering with so much knowledge and I'm open to learn more. That is how we should approach an interview.
Hmm.
We The negotiation skills come later on. Once you're finished the interviewer should like you to give you the
Right.
offer. So
Yes.
we should always be like, yeah, like, I know this, I'm ready to learn more. You should be able to portray that you're a good team player, or you should be able to prove yourself that you're a good team player, and you're not a slacker. You're not going to be the one who's just like given 10,000 projects and you don't want to, like, if you don't show me any progress, how am I going to even say, ah, yeah, you are a good addition to the team? So in all, like, when I go for interviews, it's basically like, you should be as charming, or charming is another word, or you should be, as confident or as you can be. That's the simplest way to put it. Like, because networking and all can get you interviews, but if you are a person who is not ready to, say that I'm ready to learn, or you're very rigid with your ideas that critique is something which you can't take, I'm sorry, that's not going to take you long way. That is not going to take you long way. Because if uh, for an instance, if I'm working on a shot and my supervisor is looking at my shot, he might say that looks great, I might say it does not look great. We can discuss about it, but at the same time, if I say this is the best I've done and he says this looks shit, then we need to find a balance, right? I should be able to take that, oh no, he really does not like it. I must be lacking somewhere. So that's the place where we show that we are ready to be a team player. So in an interview, it's basically telling your skills, what you really know, like what you understand, what are you ready to learn more, and what you learned, basically how you can mix everything, and how you are open to take critique. That is a very vital thing, like I always say, because that is something which I took as, like, my grounding point, that I need to learn how to take critique. I should not feel bad. You should never be married to the shot you're working on. Like, that shot can change at any point of time. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, we invest so much time. Like, say I'm working on a shot which is like, oh my god, going to look so good, I've worked on it for 3 days. I mean, the client can change the idea at any point of time. So never be married to that idea. So that's why I say, like, having the understanding of getting or learning the way a critique works, that's very vital. And that's the major thing which you need to say in an interview. And when you're explaining something, say you're just explaining a small aspect of your demo reel, you should be confident enough to answer that. Like, when I ask you, what did you do in that shot, you should be able to explain it, what you actually did. Or how I can ask you what you did in that shot. Can you explain how you approached it? Can you tell me if you worked with a team member? These are very simple questions, but are you confident enough to answer? Have you done all of that? Like, have you done the research by yourself? That is what is very important in an interview. And if that is something which you're very clear, which you clearly lay upon, then the negotiation parts come. when they ask, oh, this is what we are ready to offer. And that's when you can say, yeah, but I've done something more here. I offered you this, which was not offered elsewhere. So that's how the negotiation will grow, right? And it obviously comes with experience. It obviously comes with how many interviews you give, how many projects you have worked on, how much skill you have added in your portfolio. It comes with that.
Very, very important insights. So, guys, the takeaway of this session for me is basically be open for critique. Never marry your work. That is very important, and that I am going to remember, for a long time. Be humble. Be ready to work. Soft skills matter a lot over technical skills, which I understood, and also, try to give a reason or a explanation behind your work, whatever you did in your showreel and all, because people are going to judge you, or people are going to understand your thinking, visualization skills, and all these things, not by just seeing your work, but by hearing your ideas behind that work. Your research will come when you will explain your ideas. So these things are very important, students, and I am sure you are going to note it down. Thank you so much, Nupur, for sharing important highlights. I would say that this session is, rather than a technical session, it went to a very different level, and we got a lot of important highlights from you, a lot of insights, which will definitely help our students. Rahul sir, do we have any question in between came when we were talking? Okay, superb. So it's time to present our certificate to Nupur. Nupur, we are really thankful, and VEDA College would like to present you this certificate for giving your time to VEDA College students and sharing a lot of insights. I'm going to mail you this with a recommendation letter. And again, we are thankful to you as well as to Nitin sir to bring you here on the platform of VEDA. And by the way, Nitin sir is here. Nitin sir, before we part of anything you would like to comment?
नो सर, बट फिर भी एक चीज मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि नुपुर ने जैसे ही एंट्री की थी एकेडमी ऑफ एनिमेशन गेमिंग, दैट टाइम आई वाज देयर, वो एक बड़ी सी कार लेके आती थी, बलेनो।
ओके।
तो कॉन्फिडेंट वो शुरू से है। वो बोलती है कि कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए, मैंने उसको काफी बताया है। लेकिन मैं ये कहूंगा कि जब भी मैं उसके साथ गया हूँ कार में, तो मैं कॉन्फिडेंट होता था कि कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा, वो ड्राइव कर रही है। तो मुझे उसके ऊपर उतना विश्वास था। और जैसे कि मैं देख रहा हूँ, अभी 10 साल हो गए हैं डिग्री लेके उसने, और बॉन्डिंग टीचर और स्टूडेंट हमारी अभी भी वैसे ही है। उसके पापा भी याद करते रहते हैं, मैं भी याद करते रहता हूँ उनको। जब वो आए थे, उन्होंने बोला था कि सर हम आपको इसको सौंप रहे हैं, आप देखो। और आई रियली फील प्राउड दैट उसने उस चीज को अचीव कर लिया है अभी। और भी बैरियर्स जो होंगे उसकी फैमिली में, उसकी लाइफ में आने वाले, वो और भी उसको करेगी, और अचीवमेंट्स और भी हमें दिखेंगे उसके। और एक बहुत अच्छा सा एक और वर्कशॉप, थोड़ा सा एडवांस लेवल का, वो वेदा को देगी। ऐसा मैं उससे प्रॉमिस तो नहीं लेना चाहूंगा, लेकिन वो डेफिनेटली करेगी, ऐसा मुझे विश्वास है।
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nupur.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, watching us on YouTube. Please like this video, share your comments. How do you find this, and what sort of new webinars you are expecting? Please give us your suggestions. With this, we are signing off from this webinar. Thank you so much once again, Nupur, for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.